It's the post game of the unbeaten in all competitions, international and MLS, Colorado Rapids. It's Duane, it's Yahya, it's DNVR Rapids. Yahya, we've got a 0-0 in St. Louis. How you feeling about it?
Happy. It's not 4-1 or 4-0, baby. Let's go. I'm used to just getting completely shelled in these games at the beginning of the year. I'm happy right now. It's better than most years.
It is a nice change from getting an absolute beatdown in the season opener on the road. So we come away with a point. Again, much better than the last 2 years. There's the big story of the game, which is something we've not been able to say in several years, which is the defense is the strongest part of this squad right now. How surprising is that?
I'm not shocked at all. I'm not shocked because I'm lying to you. No, man, it was meant to happen. The last time the Rapids had a really good defense was 2020, 2021 when they won the West. When they had that incredible defense with Danny Wilson, RIP to that Rapids legend up in Rapids heaven right now. He's not dead. He's just not with the Rapids anymore. He's just not with us anymore. RIP to my homies, but went out for them. But back in the day, dude, like that's when the Rapids were good, and it feels like they might be going that way with a more talented offense. And it just makes me happy. You're on the road against, I think, a pretty decent St. Louis team. I don't think they're going to be world beaters, but they're also not bad. You saw today. They attack they're very good on the counter. They're very good when it comes to pressuring the ball. It's not too crazy to think that they can make some noise in the year. And maybe looking forward, it might be a good draw. It might be, you look back and you're like, hey, 0-0 at St. Louis against a team that's top 5 in the West. Not a bad draw.
Definitely. When you look at the most glaring differential in the stats for this game, what do you think the shots were on this one? Take a guess.
I'm going to say 0 to 2,000.
Close. 18 shots for St. Louis to 2 for the Colorado Rapids.
Are you shocked?
Yes.
Are you really?
Yeah, my prediction, I thought this was going to be an offensive explosion for the Rapids.
See,
I thought, being at the game on Tuesday, It was cold. I was very lenient because the ball was frozen, the pitch was frozen, passes were off, legs were frozen, but it wasn't horrible. We were making some pushes. In the first half, there was a really nice move where we, got several passes in the box, and then it went over to Omir. Omir kicked it right into the keeper. And I was like thinking Tuesday, hey, we're starting to get it together here. So going into tonight the weather was still cold tonight, but not at the level that it was Tuesday. I really thought the offense, all of these new midfielders that we brought in, I thought it was going to be kind of a showcase of this is the 2025 Rapids offense, deal with it, and it's going to be goals, and it was not.
Man, it's also so weird because you're playing, I feel like 2 guys out of position, 3 guys out of position.
Yeah.
And I think that really hurts the Rapids. Josh Atencio is a midfielder, but I feel like he might be more helpful in the defensive area as a
Definitely
defender.
A D-mid, yeah, for sure.
You're also playing Keegan on the left side instead of the right side. He was decent. He wasn't bad.
I think he's pretty good there.
He
played good there on Tuesday as well.
He did, but it's also still out of position, right? It's still not the natural. Defensively, it's kind of all stays the same. The issue, it comes more when you're attacking. The foot's not on the same side.
Yeah,
you're not looking for the same angles. That's a little bit harder. And then you have Cole on the wing, which I do like Cole. He has a really good right foot. I think he can cut in. He's pretty decent on the left as well. But it's still not where he's best at, which is running. And also, when you're playing on the wing, you're not running, you're not recovering, you're not catching the ball. And it feels like that's also where the Rapids kind of lacked a little bit. And we were talking about it during the game because we were at the DNVR bar. Shout out to all the Rapids fans that were here today. We had a great time. But who else do you play in that position? Calvin Harris, for whatever reason, lost the starting spot, who I thought had a really decent year last year. And yet, it feels like Armas is not trusting him to be out there. Cabral had a horrible game. So, with Cabral still kind of getting in rhythm after last year, even last year when he started, it wasn't great. And then kind of middle season, he kind of got warm. Then he got injured. Like, how much rhythm is there really with this offense except for Djordje and Rafa?
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's a lot of rhythm. And then you bring up a really good point is last year we saw a lot of consistency in the lineup. You know, last year, one of the stories was that Armas really likes his guys. They're going to start every game and we're going to try to build from there. Look, we're only one game into the season, MLS season, 2 games into, if you count, you know, the first Champions Cup game. And there's some sliding around. There's a lot of injuries to deal with as well. But the midfield is, I mean, it's overloaded. All of the offseason moves, there's so many midfielders to figure out who's going to be starting consistently. You know, like you have to wonder, is Harris being saved for I don't know what
Wednesday, I think it is. Yeah.
Is he being saved for LAFC for round 2? You know, I can't see Cabral getting the start again Tuesday after looking at him tonight. Also, do you want to go there?
Yeah, I also like
Should we go there?
That's another guy that I think was playing out of position. Cabral's way better on the left wing. That's where he did most of his damage. Play him on the right. He looked lost again. Mm-hmm. He didn't feel like he had the same step. Last game he played a little bit better, but to be fair, I think LAFC right now is struggling more defensively because they have new pieces and they lost a couple of guys that they had back there compared to St. Louis, who kind of kept their whole squad together. Not a lot of big moves either in or out. So I think having Cabral to the right did hurt them a little bit. I think it's time he's going to start pushing back to the left, get Calvin Harris in there, and maybe get KSB in there. I love KSB. Like, I think that guy...
He didn't look bad in the couple of minutes that he got tonight.
What else? What really can you do with 5 minutes in the game? Nothing. Yeah. Like, so it's like, I think it's time for Armas to blow it all up and just start get a brand new team in here.
It's time. After one game.
It's too late, guys.
But no, like, it's time to blow it up.
It's time to blow it up. I'm playing with you guys. But I think it is a little bit of you got to figure out where these guys are better off and how they can all kind of combine to be your perfect front forward, because all these guys have such a unique skill set that none of them really share. Like, no guy in this team is the same, especially in the winger position. Yeah, Cabral's a speedster. Calvin Harris has a little bit of that speed, but he's a little bit more technician with his feet as well. You have KSB, who's a little bit more of I'll take you one-on-one. KDP, we really haven't seen him yet, so we don't know what he really is on the wing. And then you also have I'm missing a winger, right? Omir, who is more of I'm gonna cut in and try to shoot as much as I can. Like, and none of these guys are 1-for-1, so you got to figure out the perfect combination for it to work with a guy like Rafa, a guy like Djordje, so we can get that offensive explosion we're expecting. But it's gonna take a bit until Armas can figure it out, which I'm a little upset because I feel like he should have figured it out from last year after having a whole year under his belt, right?
Yeah, I mean. And you touched on something too with Rafa, is that the ball is still not getting to Rafa. Mm-mm. How much of that is on Rafa not being in the spot, and how much of that is on the wingers?
I think it's pretty 50-50, honestly. I think it's like, I think Rafa's doing a good job of when he can.
Yeah.
But it's also like there's times where he's playing defense.
And I don't want to see Rafa playing defense ever. And he's great at it. Like, he's great to come back and cover, but I don't want to see that. I want to see him up there in case there's a counter, like a break and transition. He's already up there, because the wingers, you could see this tonight. The wingers are way faster than Rafa is.
Oh, and that's another thing. Rafa looks slow today too.
Yes. And so it's hard for Rafa to be up on point when you're not fast enough to beat the wingers getting up there. And that seems like a little bit of dissonance on this Rapids offense is that it's great that we have speed, but if your speed is so good that your winger, you got Cabral up on the corner, Cabral never is going to take the shot. He's always going to do a quick little pullback, some little, Kevin Cabral patented sweet feet maneuvers, and then he's going to push it into the middle. But Rafa's usually not there yet. So we have to eat, like, someone needs to teach, like, just speaking solely on Kevin Cabral, like Kevin Cabral either has to shoot or get the ball and like go into the corner, which I don't want either, because then we're back to Robin Fraser ball. And nobody wants that kind of offense. But it's like you can't switch over and try to do this inverted move to the middle, which he's got the skills. Like, he's got the footwork to do that.
He could do it.
But by the time he's down there, he has to take a stop. He has to pull the ball back. And then now you've got 3 guys in red kits surrounding you, and you're waiting for Rafa to get there.
He doesn't work well under pressure. Let's say that. Cabral's not a guy that if you throw 2 guys at him, he's going to find a way to wiggle out of it and find the open guy. And you're completely right, man. Like, what's the point of speed if nobody else is right there with them? And part of that's on Rafa, right? Because when they do get there, Rafa's back here playing defense.
Because he's playing defense.
And it's like, Rafa, like, I love the work rate. Like, don't get me wrong. I love that you're willing to do it. But to some point, like, if it knocking down your offensive skill, because you're also wasting yourself more. You're trying to pressure, which, again, I love how Rafa pressures. He's the only guy on offense who is willing to do a coordinated attack on the goalie. He's yelling at guys, hey, I'm running sideways. Come get this guy over here so we can cut off our passing lanes. And it usually works when it's executed correctly, but it feels like he's the only one that knows how to pressure correctly. Yep. And that's the other issue. And you're right. Like, you need him to understand that there's multiple levels to this. That it's not just, hey, do everything for the whole team. Love you, Emma. Appreciate you. We got Emma Stone in here, guys. Or Emma Watson. You guys decide. We have multiple people. But you do need Rafa to kind of understand his role a little bit better. That he is the key marksman to scoring goals. And that he needs to be up there to help out the guys like Cabral. I won't say Cole today because Cole was non-existent in my opinion.
Yeah.
He was...
It didn't have the best game today.
No, I thought Cole was actually really bad, and I don't think that's gonna say what the whole season's gonna be for him.
No, it's game 1
exactly, but it felt like a really bad game from him. He was out of position, so kudos to him for trying his hardest, but it was a little bit rough. And I don't know, man. I like Rafa. I think he did a good job when he was playing on offense, but when he wasn't, it felt very. What are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, and I think that is a bit of a leftover from last season. Last year, Rafa was always on the run. Rafa and Cabral, like those 2 offensive players, were playing more defense last year because of the constant breakdowns in transition. But they don't have to do that as much. And I think we saw that. I got to tell you, man. The Cheeto Ian Murphy center back duo is.
Are we
legit.
getting to the big question?
I mean, we can if you want to move. I don't know if we're
before we do.
If we're done with,
we'll get back to it.
With the offense, I mean,
there's a shit show anyways.
Wherever we want.
We're a shit show like the Rapids offense today, anyways. So, people, we're gonna get into the big question of the Rapids post game pod. Come into the chat. Tell us what you think. Answer it with us. Give us a thumbs up. We really appreciate it. We love our community. It's the best thing that we have going for us because for sure it ain't the money. This is money for us, baby. Like, we're down here drinking at a bar, watching the game with a bunch of Rapids fans because we love it, not because we have to. So please jump into the chat and just have a good time with us. It's the best thing we can do as Rapids fans.
Yeah, if you got questions in the chat, drop them. So here's a question. Damn, boom, right off the bat.
What is it?
So we're moving into defense. Let's take. So Crash is asking, will Maxu get sold?
I hope not. I hope he doesn't. Because I'm looking at this team. Maxu's injured, and I'm like, I don't feel scared. I don't have to put Michael Edwards No offense back there. I don't have to put Abubakar. No offense back there. We don't got to put Keegan back there and put Jackson Travis on the wing. I hope not.
Yeah, but when you see the tandem of Cheeto and Ian playing together, as Chris Armas, you have to make the decision when Maxu is healthy. Do you break up the tandem, which has been playing really well, or do you put your very expensive TAM player center back into the starting 11?
You bring Maxu back in. You have to give him a shot.
Sure.
You have to. You can't just be like, oh, sorry, you lost it. No coach will damage a team's morale that way.
I don't know, man. Armas...
He's a morale guy.
Armas is also his guy's guy.
And Max was one of his guys, though. He brought him in. No, he didn't, right? That
Max
was Robin.
Was already here.
Yep.
I don't know. I look at how many games last year that Omir started, even when he was not playing well, and Chris brought him in, game after game. If he likes the tandem of Cheeto and Ian, which I love the tandem of Cheeto and Ian, given we only have 2 very small samples so far. But I can tell you that there's been a few scary moments that Lawless, and I don't think Maxu gets there either, that Cheeto especially will get there and get the ball back. Ian is more of a kind of more of a physical presence, and Cheeto is a more of a oh shit presence, like someone's gonna get back there. Oh, thank God, Cheeto's here. So I don't know. I mean, it's a great question, Crash. Like it's an awesome question because there were the rumors in the off season of Maxu wanting to go to the Middle East, over to the Saudi League. And obviously that didn't happen because he's still in burgundy and blue.
But I don't think Maxu wanted to go. I think it was also.
Well, I don't know what the full story is.
It feels like it was just kind of a, hey, like, we have this offer. Is it worth selling a top tier player?
Well, I think it's also, though, Maxu he's at the age where he's going to get 1, maybe 2 contracts left. You know that you're going to make filthy amounts of money.
Fair.
Saudi League. So it's like, go get your bags before, you retire. So it makes sense. And look, if it happened and he wanted to go, it would be no hard feelings on my end. I'd be like, dude, go get paid. I wish that I could do something like that,
My thing with telling Maxu is that if he goes gets the bag, I get it. I'm all for it. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for what you've done here.
Sure.
But my biggest thing with Maxu kind of getting out of the Rapids is the guy brings passion, and I think that's something the team kind of lacks a little bit.
Sure.
No, they don't have such a vocal leader on this team anymore. You feel like most of the leaders are lead by example. You look at Djordje, you look at Zack, you look at Cole. None of them have that grit and yell to them.
Sure.
And I think Maxu brings that, and selfishly, that's something I love. It might be something stupid that doesn't do anything for us, but it feels like that's one of the reasons I kind of want to keep Maxu around. The fun.
Sure. I mean, look, man, it's always fun to see Maxu put a dude in a full Nelson and just wrestle him.
You got Philip in the chat saying, yo, Duane.
Hey, it's my buddy Phil. He's actually jumping in from the city of St. Louis. He's a Rapids fan, but he's a Rapids fan, but he's also he grew up there. He's from there, so he supports his home team too. He was texting me throughout the game. He's saying it here in the chat. Steffen had a good game.
Steffen had a great game.
Yeah. And so that was one of the big worries in the preseason, not just from us,
in general,
but from all of the pundits out there, Weeby, everybody else. The question was, is Steffen, who had very bad numbers, if you're a stats guy, he was at the bottom of the league for goalkeepers last year. And between him and the backline, they really saved the day on several occasions tonight and kept, kept the Rapids to getting 1 point.
They allowed a fake goal that didn't count. If the guy it didn't count. It was a fake goal. Fake news, baby. That don't
fake
count.
News, baby.
Nobody knows what it is. It's all a lie. But man, Zack was great. When you have a guy like Zack, like that makes me feel a little bit better, right? When Zack's on, it feels like you're good. You're gonna be okay. His kicking was not great tonight. You were right, Alyssa. He did have that early mistake.
One of the worst passes.
That if it wasn't for Ollie and the St. Louis player being complete utter shit, you would lose this game, honestly. You're lucky that Ollie was there and that St. Louis doesn't have any good players. That's your one saving grace tonight.
Yep.
Or else you would be down 1-0 very, very easily.
For sure.
And I'm going to say St. Louis was shit because they pissed me off tonight. They had me in a chokehold of anger. I was utterly annoyed at everybody in that team. But let's kind of get back to the main question.
Back to defense.
Is the Rapids defense one of the MLS's elite again? And that includes
after one game, yes.
And that's not an underreaction.
They've allowed 0 goals. As far as like the season outlook, are they one of the MLS's elite defenses? It's way too early for me to say that. It feels that way because we gave up 60 goals last year. So...
And they also started the season
totally
with
feels that
4-1 and then 4-0 the year after that.
Yeah, it's not been a fun opening night the past 2 years. So, yeah. I mean, it feels super elite. But is it because they really are that good? Or is it because we've had several seasons of not so great defense? And it's like, you're not going to be able to answer that.
I will. It's because we have a really good defense. I'm telling you right now.
They're way better, of course. It's
also like, again, depth. If you put Josh Atencio back there, I feel a lot better. Defensively, dude played great tonight. Dude was one of the few Rapids players that was able to win balls. You pause. You also have, if you have Ian Murphy back there, I feel a lot more comfortable than if you have Maxu. If you have Maxu back there, I feel way more comfortable than you have Lawless. Like, you just go down the list and compared to last year, and you're not mad at it. Like,
no.
And then you go into your wing backs. Keegan played pretty good on the left side.
Keegan had an undercover great game.
He wore a mustache and couldn't see him.
He was sneaky. Dude, that one, I mean, he didn't break an ankle, but it was damn close.
Oh, that was pretty.
It was such a great cutback. But he was really solid, and that's not his natural position for him to be playing on that side of the pitch. But I thought Keegan had an outstanding game. I know that the storyline from tonight is really looking at Cheeto and Ian. You also had a great game on Tuesday and also a scare with Reggie, but here he is back in the lineup, which is great news. He played great tonight. And so it's always like, the shiny things are more interesting because they're new. But Mr. Rapid re-signing a contract, comes out after signing that contract extension and plays a damn good game. Like, really, really, really good game on the outside. He's responsible for easily 3 goals. Or at least 3 really good crosses that could have happened that did not.
I think he played really well. Again, defensively. And
sure.
Offensively, I just feel like they were so discombobulated. They couldn't find their rhythm at all that it felt. But like some of the best offense came from Keegan. And you also saw a little bit more attack too. Once you had Omir and KSB out there, or Omir and Cabral. And I think it's just because that's Omir's natural position, right? Like, he knows what he's actually doing in that place. By the way, shout out James. From Frozen St. Louis, man. Shout out. Good job just being in St. Louis and not being terrified for your life. Those people are mean. We hate all St. Louis. I know Duane doesn't, but I do. I'm a hater. I don't care. Once we play,
hates every city he's never been to.
Oh, dude. Japan? Come at me.
Oh, you better stop it. God, I don't even know where we were.
Dude, we were talking about how Keegan played the defense too.
Here's one of the things about the offense. One of the things that we saw last year and that we got used to was the kind of those pipelines of pushing the ball forward. You saw it from Vines to Bassett. You saw it a lot from Bassett to Djordje up to Rafa. You saw a lot of that Keegan to Harris. Mm-hmm. And then you saw a lot from Omir to Rafa. Not all of those guys, but a lot of those guys are playing not in those positions that they're used to. Again, there's injuries, but when you take Cole and you put him out of that, where he and Ollie were last year, you put him out wide on the wing, that messes up the pipeline to get to Djordje, to get to Rafa. When Keegan is on the left instead of the right, and then Harris is not in the lineup, and you have Cabral, that pipeline from last year is now gone. When you don't have Vines out for injury on the left side and then having Bassett come up, you miss out on that pipeline. Yep. So part of the problem with the offense tonight is that it's just the forward progression of passes weren't there because everybody's either new in the midfield or playing in a completely different position than they were last year. And I think now you've got to re-gel. Like the whole team has to gel again, especially in the midfield, because what it was last year was completely different than what it was tonight. And given, again, it is one game. Like there's an entire season to gel and for guys to get healthy again and come back and people to switch back over where they're supposed to be.
This was the season. Either you win or you lose.
Oh, the season's over already. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We got a point.
No, but you're right, man. And like you made a really good point. Like either you're new or you just don't know what you're doing. You look at it and you have, compared to last year's starting lineup at first game, you have a new right back. You have a new center back, another new center back, and another new midfielder. 4 new guys that are the guys that are in charge of getting the ball forward.
And one of the midfielders is supposed to be a D mid, but he can't.
Because we don't have and we also just don't play a defensive mid, really.
Yeah, we really don't.
But you kind of played back there a little bit. But you could have tonight,
since Cole was swung out on the left, maybe that would have been the time to switch to that.
Oh, sorry, guys. It's getting late. My bad.
That's why I jumped in. I knew you were going to yawn.
My bad time was 30 minutes ago. I'm sorry, guys.
This wasn't even a late game, Yahya.
Dude, I'm just...
For crying out loud.
Man, I'm washed. Let me be. I'm old. I'm done for. My back cracks whenever I go to the bathroom.
I don't even want to know what that means.
You shouldn't. Am I showering? Am I brushing my teeth? You decide.
We don't know.
Choose your own adventure. But no, man, you're right. Like, there's so many new pieces to this. And I'm sure Armas had different tactics too that he wants to play. It felt like even the guys that were here last year were not pushing forward. The guys like Djordje, Ollie, even Cole and Cabral felt like they would get the ball, they would panic a little bit, and they just kind of hold the ball and then throw it back.
For sure.
I don't know if that's something Armas wanted, but there was also a lot of long balls. It's very dependent, right?
Totally.
Another yawn, man. What am I, 51? Shit.
One thing I did like is that I didn't see us playing a lot out of the back tonight.
I hated that. I hated that
last year. And the one time that it did happen was a really bad pass from Steffen right off the bat. I mean, he was solid the rest of the game, but I was happy to see us kind of move away from that. I hope that's what we have.
No, Duane, you're wrong here. No. I'm sorry. You're in the
Playing
wrong.
out of the back is terrible for the Rapids.
No,
I've got a whole season of data to support my case.
But that's before Bombi left, it was good. After Bombi left, it was bad. Now you have Cheeto and Ian who can actually play the ball. You also have Reggie that's really good with the ball at his feet. And Keegan's also very good under pressure. I would like to play from the back a little bit more. I get why you don't do it tonight with a brand new back line, with another midfielder that just got to the team. And you also you're playing away on your opener. I get why you don't do that. But those long balls did not work for anybody. Djordje, Rafa.
No.
Cole Cabral cannot get to that ball.
But you know what they did do, though? They got the ball away from the net.
And
I have real PTSD from the last 3 years.
I understand.
I don't want the ball anywhere near us.
I get that, and I'm not against it. But the Rapids need to play from the back. That's the way you build up play. You saw St. Louis tonight when they played from the back and they were able to get away from those tough pressures the Rapids were bringing. It was a breakaway the other way. That's what the Rapids have to do. They have to create those pockets where they can push forward and go all the way up. And that's why I wanted a lot more than just launching the ball where it's just like, well, I know you're going to throw the ball over here. Let me just wait for it and I'll head it away from you.
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't good either. For me, it's one of those, like, again, the ball is away from Steffen. That was bad last year. Maybe if we can get Josh into more of a defensive mid position, then I might feel more comfortable with it.
I think you will.
But for now, like, I want to get the ball away from the net.
And I'm cool with that. But going forward, I really think that it has to be more of a playing out of the back. You saw St. Louis had a lot of luck doing that. And I think it would be good for the Rapids because they play a very similar type of soccer. And I think the Rapids have a more talented midfield than St. Louis.
I don't like that the Rapids default to that. And that's on the offense. You know, like, how many times did we see tonight? We get up into the final third, and then it's take a pause, look around. By then, everybody in red has now had time to get back. And then we have to send it back. And then we have to send it back. I know that's soccer. Like,
but that's
I
not
know
playing
that,
from the back, though. Like,
well, no, but I'm just saying, like,
and I agree with you.
Playing
that's bad.
from the midfield and going back up, like, resetting is only giving the other team time to get into their formation, right? And set up their block. Where that is a problem for me is that by building out of the back, it just gives them even more time to set up their block, and they're going to get into shape. And with our offense right now is not an offense that can break through a strong block. Like, if the other team, like, has a good formation, has a good shape, the Rapids in their current form are not good at breaking through. And you see that because you watch other teams play us and their guys are passing it around. They're making moves. You've got Cheeto and Ian and Keegan and Reggie all having to scramble around and do that. When we go, it's just one guy getting in. If we're lucky, a bad pass, Huffa's not there. And it's because the formation is already set. Like, if we were more devious, if we were more surgical, being able to get past their back line, then sure, build from the back and take all the time you want. But we just can't do that.
But that's the thing. I think you're confusing playing from the back and a slow build of play. What you're describing is they have a really slow build of play. And that's when it allows the other team to kind of get into formation. But when you play from the back, and again, you saw it today with the Rapids, most teams press in the MLS when you're playing from the back. If you can break that press, you're on a breakaway because you have 4 or 5 guys on their team on your side of the field trying to get the ball from your defenders. If you can break that, you have numbers going the other way, and that's when you have to run. And that's where you can get that Armis ball of go, go, go. I think it's just Armis needs to have a little bit more confidence on these guys, and I think they need to bring the midfield in a little bit more instead of having, like, the midfield and the back line be so separated and disconnected, because when that happens, it's when you have those, like, really slow builds, like, because they have nobody else to pass it to but themselves back and forth. If you bring the midfield back a little bit, you'll have those outlets where you can find the next guy, and then you find the forward pass. That's just, you have a Cabral streaking through the side, and it's not a balloon pass through the top. It's a floor pass that he can actually control and run, and then he has 2 guys on the other side following him.
Yeah, I get that. I'm not sold on our offense yet being able to do that.
But that's not our offense. That's our midfield. And our midfield is very talented.
I'm talking, okay, so let me rephrase. I'm not confident on our wingers being able to do that.
They did it last year.
So.
And also Cabral did it against LAFC last week. That penalty was kind of how that started.
Yeah, but I don't want us to be a team of drawing penalties again.
You don't have to be, but like you create chances that way. Cabral, if he didn't touch him, that was a clear chance to shot, and that's how you get that goal, right? I think you're right.
Shoots.
You're right. And I think you're completely right when you come talking about, oh, you don't want that slow build of play where you just pass it back and forth. I hate that too. You're completely right there. But I think you should build from the back with the defense and the midfield a little bit more connected. That way you can kind of find the right pass and go forward on numbers instead of trying to pass it back, pass it here, pass it forward, pass it back. That's annoying as hell. I hate that.
Sure, I do too.
But
in theory, I love what you're saying. I don't know that we're going to see it.
I don't think so either. Again, you're right. But also, like, you should try it and try to connect the midfield with the defense more instead of having your midfield almost playing forwards and your forwards playing behind the goalie of your opposing team. That's the issue too, where you're just pushing everything forward and then you're just like, long ball, who can catch this? And it's like, none of us. Like, I hate that even more. At least try. And I trust.
Fair.
And they're both really bad strategies right now for the Rapids. There's not a really win-win. Except for like, hey, let's try to get the ball on their side of the field and try to score. But it's just hard. All right, Duane, you want to do the next segment?
Is it time?
I think it's time. You're not going to intro it?
It's flowers from the fellas.
I love that Duane's leaning against that, the most suave guy you'll ever see.
I'm casual.
You look suave as hell, my guy.
Man, when I'm in cartoon form, I'm at my most casual. I like to dress up when I'm a cartoon.
That's not, if you dress up, that's not casual. That's the opposite.
See, that's how much I like to dress up, is that even that is casual. That's not even me full on cartoon form. It's flowers from the fellas, everybody.
There's a great graphic, by the way. It's so
ridiculous.
Good. But that's what we're built on. This whole company's built on being stupid.
Let's just be silly and have fun with it.
We have Eric/D-Line on his show. If he doesn't represent what DNVR is or ALLCITY is, nothing does.
That dude's fun. All right, I'll let you go first. Who's your first flower?
I'm taking it from you, baby.
Do it.
It's Cheeto.
Yeah.
Bro, it's Chester Cheeto, man, in the back. Like, that dude balled tonight. Without him, it's definitely a loss. That dude, I cannot say good enough things about him. We were talking about it. We love Lawless, but he really is just, he has the same build as Lawless. So, like, it's very easy to compare him. He's also African. So, like, sure. You're like, but he's faster.
Yeah.
He's a little bit more skilled when he has the ball at his feet. Like, you're not thinking. It's
not scary.
Yeah, you're not like, oh, that touch is really bad and he's going to get beat immediately. And I'm really happy about the deal we got for him, honestly. It's a steal. It looks like it at this point.
Totally.
The defense looks rejuvenated, and I'm really happy for it. I think Zach's going to benefit from it, and I think the rest of that backline is as well.
Yeah, I think it's a great move for us. I'm so glad that, Cincy is overloaded with center backs and that we get those guys. So, Cheeto, 2 incredible games already. Really breathing some confidence in Rapids fans in the Rapids defense, which we've not had for a while. So he's also just a good dude. Like, being able to, in the presser, after the presser on Tuesday, Cheeto's a vibesman. Like, I think he might be the vibes guy for the Rapids this year. Like, good vibes for that guy.
Is he like that Bombi good vibes? Always kind of happy.
He's definitely like
Bombi-esque.
the Bombi-esque vibes replacement with Bombi gone.
Is he also Canadian?
Cheeto?
No, of course
no.
not. I'm playing with you. I know I was going to catch you off guard with that. Continue, Duane. Who's your flowers for?
All right. Before I jump into mine, if you've got flowers for somebody, throw it in the chat and we'll throw those flowers out for you, and we'll discuss who you think should get flowers. Mine is going to be Zack Steffen. Again, all of the preseason pundits that was one of the biggest question marks for a lot of them with Zack Steffen. Outside of Leagues Cup, like not the best stats for him. Again, I think a lot of that is because of the back line, and is because of getting cooked so much in transition and not being aggressive enough. So to me, Steffen, has really he put a Reggie on him. He smacked all those pundits in the face, and he played a great game. I mean, there were some really great point blank saves. There was the diving stop to the far post to the right. He had a great game tonight.
Very secure in every aspect of the game tonight.
Yep.
Completely agree. By the end of the year, his nickname might be Zack Stuff Them Stat Sheets Steffen.
Zack Steffen him.
I don't know about that one. He has a wife and kids. I don't want to put him in a bad spot out there. We got Crash saying Zach is the highest rated on FOTMob. Also saying flowers for Ollie, second highest. Yeah, Ollie had a pretty decent game tonight.
Ollie had a great game tonight.
There's
a physical game.
Yeah, there was parts where I was like really iffy on him, but I don't think it's on him. I think it's just how the team played tonight.
Sure.
So you're right. I think Ollie deserves some, but with my second flowers of the night, I'm going Mr. Josh Atencio. Dude balled tonight. I really loved what we saw from him. A couple of errant passes, a couple of times where he thought the player should be one place and he wasn't. It wasn't perfect for him tonight, but you can see the star in this kid immediately. You look at him and you're like, oh, this is what a midfielder that's willing to defend and is really good at passing kind of looks like, right? The amount of times he put that leg in there and just kind of snuck the ball away.
Are good,
and I'm just like, dude, that height, it's so nice. I would like to see the players around him kind of move a little bit more. So it's not just here you go, Ollie. Here you go, Josh. Here you go, Djordje. Like a 3 foot pass. I would like it to be a little bit more like, hey, move around, try to find the right guy. But once he finally was moving forward, he did a really good job of finding those guys forward. He found Djordje in the pocket a couple of times in some really impressive passes, and I was like, wow, that was between 2-3 guys, and you hit him right on the foot where he could grab and still run, and it's not against anybody. And I'm like, that's exactly what you need. That's why Josh Atencio is your second flower of the night.
Third after Ollie.
Well, my second flower of the night.
I think the cool thing that you got flashes, a little bit of a sneak preview with Josh, is that he's not even in his natural position tonight. And once we get the midfield sorted out and guys are healthy, Chris Armas figures out, again, it's going to change because there's so many games this season, with Champions Cup, MLS season plus Leagues Cup. There's just a lot going on. So the guys are going to get, shifted around. But for the most part, there's going to be kind of the usual starters. And I think once that gets set and wherever that's going to slot Josh in and he gets comfy, he's going to be that FIFA cheat code, like you said, of long passes that just drop right on dudes' boots. And you see that with Ronan sometimes, but I think Josh is a different kind of player because Ronan is not the greatest on defense, but Josh is going to be able to play both sides of that. It's exciting, man. Like I think is one of the best moves of the off season, if not the best move. We just haven't seen the full potential yet.
I can't wait to see a Ronan Josh Atencio midfield because a tall black-headed man versus and your partner's a shorter red-headed man,
speedy whirling dervish,
and it's just like it feels like a cop comedy at some point.
Yeah, that's going to be a high passing game out of the midfield when that happens.
That would also just allow Ronan to push forward more, and Josh can just.
Well, and that's gonna open up Djordje. It's gonna open up the wings. Like it's gonna open up a lot when that happens.
Shout out Kevin,
who is at with C38 tonight, is super drunk.
And loving all
you too,
of us.
buddy. let's see where were so we have
Josh,
Steffen,
Rayados,
Josh, Cheeto, Ollie. For me, it's gonna be Mr. Rapid. It wasn't like a spectacular night, but
flashy.
we won't call it flashy, but there were times when you needed a guy to play a heads up, smart play on the opposite side than you're used to playing, and Keegan was there. I thought he was solid. He was reliable over there. And it's also like, what a bonus to have a guy who can switch to the complete other side of the field while Vines is out and be able to just jump in and be fine. We're lucky to have that. And the Rapids are a young squad. They might be the youngest squad in the entire league this year. Last year, they were second to youngest. We've only gotten younger. So it's not normal for us to keep, a player who's not even that old in Keegan. And we just extended him. So, the captain's going to be back. Mr. Rapid's going to be back. And it's nice to have that veteran leadership on display tonight and just see him jump in where he's needed and put up a good performance.
Yeah. Again, can't say much about Keegan, dude. He's a baller. He's a lover. He's a space cowboy. Like, this is the guy.
All of these things. I bet you didn't know that. Yeah, if you're watching or listening later.
Like, that's what Keegan is.
You didn't know those things about Keegan. He also cuts hair. He's a barber. So,
no, man, Keegan's dope, dude. It feels like he turned back the clocks of time today. It really does. It looked like young Keegan again.
Yeah,
it really did. For my last flowers, you can give more if you want. No pressure, but don't. My last flowers is going to be to Ian.
All right.
Dude, Ian was dope. I didn't have high hopes for him.
Yeah, we really thought he was going to be a bit of a backup.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And I think,
but thanks to injury, we get to see what he's made of.
And I think that connectivity that like Cheeto and him have played for a while, they know each other.
Yeah, they got a good connection.
They kind of trust each other a little bit more than like maybe a Max Lou and a Cheeto would back there. It's really well, man. Like, I really like Ian's game. He brings a little bit of that Cheeto vibe, but a lot more of that toughness. Yep. It feels he's like the enforcer of the two, right? And I don't know.
He's not a small dude.
No,
like,
surprisingly
he's not super tall, but like he was also at the presser on Tuesday, and I don't mean this in a wrong. So I grew up playing hockey in high school and college. I'm used to like really big dudes, even though I am not a really big dude, but that's why I was a goalie. Soccer guys usually aren't the biggest dudes.
No.
And Ian is an imposing figure. Like, he's not gigantic, but like for, when you look at normal soccer players, like you put Ian next to
Cabral,
like a Djordje or a Cabral,
any
like
of these guys.
There's a difference. And like Ian is a solid, like just physically solid force, like presence.
And you wouldn't expect it with the guy with his name being Ian.
So okay.
Mr. Murphy out here proving us wrong at every phase. But no, man, you're right. Like, Ian's imposing, he's big, and there's something about him, I can't pinpoint it, that just kind of gives me hope for the back line. Yep. It wasn't the game tonight. It wasn't about, I thought he looked cool. It was just, there's something about him that just kind of made me feel he was going to be a guy going forward for the Rapids.
Sure. And I mean, Crash is saying in the chat, also, how about the fact that we have 3 quality center backs that we can trust?
I'd honestly even trust Michael Edwards.
Like,
I'd trust Michael Edwards more in a pinch than I would Lawless last year, in all honesty.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, this has been such a worry from the last several years, and now it's something that everybody can breathe a sigh of relief about. Like, the defense doesn't necessarily have to be like, oh no, like every game. It's something we have a little bit of confidence in. So, I mean, now everybody can focus on, all right, what are the midfield doing? What are the wingers doing? How do we get the ball to Rafa? We got to start scoring goals. XG is fine, but just regular XG is better. I said that last year. I'll say it again this year.
Get that G straight, homie.
I don't really give a crap about XG. Like, I just want to see actual balls going into the net.
Pause. But yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, my last flowers, just to finish out the back line, is Reggie. Man, I love Reggie Cannon.
Reggie can't hang with them cannon.
Just, I mean, whether he's smacking dudes or just full on tackles, just playing physical, he's just crazy to get to the ball. That dude's just on it. I mean, and he had like audibly, I mean, you could hear it on TV, but from the press box on Tuesday, one of the scariest moments. I was like nervous about it. And a lot of that was the cold and whatever, but man, to be able to get injured, sound like you're really, really hurt, get carried off and then come back and start the next game. Dude, that guy's a baller, straight up.
For those that that are Denver sports fan, he had his Garrett Bowles moment.
Yeah.
You know that, yeah, you've been here long enough. He had his Garrett Bowles moment. You know what? Garrett Bowles came back better and stronger after it. So good for you, Reggie. So Reggie's a little zesty, man, and I mean this with
that's why I love him.
Compliment.
That's what I love.
Like he's zesty, he's feisty. That's
why I love him.
He's such a personality. When we have him on our pod, he was so outspoken, so fun, talking about all these things he loved. But you see him out on the pitch, completely different guy. He's walking around with the mug. He's pushing guys off, telling them to F off at that point. Fuck off.
Reggie don't take no shit.
Dude, I'm all for Reggie, dude. You're right. He's a zesty king that we needed on the Rapids.
Before we wrap it up, a really good question in the comments. Do we think we focused a bit too much on defensive side, which is why the attack is struggling? I'm going to assume you mean focused a bit too much on the defensive side in the offseason moves, which is why the attack is struggling. Maybe. I mean, part of all these midfielders was supposed to help out the offense. So, I mean, some attention, I think, was paid to the offense. It wasn't in the form of what we wanted with bringing in a superstar winger. But it's mostly stayed the same. The only loss on there is Jonathan Lewis, which is not a huge loss. It's not saying that.
It might be addition by subtraction to some of us.
It could be. Take that as you will. I know J. Lou's got a lot of fans here in Colorado. But, it's not that huge of a loss in the way that losing most of our wingers wouldn't be like catastrophic loss because we've not figured it out yet.
It's also the offensive additions. We just haven't seen them yet.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is when you look at where the weakness was of last season, you had a team that for the first half to 3/4 of the season was leading the league in XG. I know that I hate XG, but like people love it. It is what it is. You are creating chances. You're leading the league. That fell off at the end, but still high as far as, league average is concerned. That tells you, but on the other side of the pitch, you give up 60 goals, which is among the bottom of the MLS. You have to address your biggest problem, which is the defense. So I think they made the right offseason moves in trying to shore up that defense. You don't have to score a ton of goals if you're not giving up 60 goals a season. But you do have to score goals. It's early. James is saying it. It's cold. We will warm up. I agree with you 100%. This midfield will get sorted out. People will come back from injury healthy. And hopefully we will figure out how to keep Rafa up in the final third versus coming back to play defense. And maybe as, we're getting more confidence as a squad in our defense, he won't feel the need to come back so much. And when he's not, then it's up to the midfield and the wingers to get the ball to him. And hopefully we start to see that. last year wasn't horrible. I mean, leading the league for a while in XG is a good thing.
And no, it just takes a while, man.
It's just,
like the Rapids weren't scoring a bunch of goals at the beginning of the year last year. It's better to start off cold and warm up as the season goes on than to start hot. You don't want to
flash.
And then go completely cold as the season goes on. So it'll take time.
For sure.
And the offensive additions, we haven't seen them yet. KDP hasn't been out there. Ali hasn't been out there. Like, it'll take time. Like, we'll have some of these guys out there. Sam Bassett has only been in there for a game, and it was CCC. Like, give it some time. Like, Alex Harris hasn't been in there yet.
Yep.
Like,
Calvin Harris hasn't been in there very much.
But just give it time. Like, even like KSB has only had a 5-minute run so far,
and he's looked good in those minutes.
And it's like, give it time. They'll be fine. Start panicking around the 15-game mark if they're still struggling, right? But even then, there's a summer window, and I think if the Rapids are good offensively and they have these guys like Djordje, Rafa, and everything around them, they'd be a little bit more willing to restructure things. I won't say heavily invest, but definitely maybe look at sending a Cabral out and then bringing somebody in, or maybe buying down Rafa and bringing in a winger so you can have another DP. So there's options. I'm not saying
you got several players that are in the last year of their contract. I mean, they got some options, but it's,
it takes time.
You've now got a system that's opened up in MLS where you can make trades within MLS for cash. So those things are all available now, but it's game one. We came away with a point. We've gotten our butts kicked the last 2 season openers. So this is a good thing. We're moving forward. Next game is already happening in just a matter of days. It's round 2 of CONCACAF Champions Cup. Quick prediction. How do you think it's going to go? Yeah, they can't cry about the weather.
It's going to be 1-1 and Rapids go through.
It's going to be
1-1 and
1-1 and Rapids go through. I like that. Only because I'm a hater, I'm going to say it's going to be 3-1 Rapids, just to smack them in the face of them crying and bitching about the weather. I don't care for excuses. Go in there and beat them in their weather too.
I think it's going to be a fun game, and I think the Rapids, whether they win or lose, I think it's going to be really good for them.
Yeah, LAFC won today against Minnesota. It was 1-0.
It was barely, man.
Yeah,
it was such
Minnesota really blew it on a couple of chances. So LAFC's midfield is severely lacking in any sort of creative ideas, and that's a bonus for us. They really gutted that team and really are trying to create this robot of stick to the formation that Coach Steve wants, and it's just like, man, that's boring soccer, and I don't think it's going to last.
I think
a lot of people are picking them to win it all. I don't think they are.
I think they'll finish first in the West, but I think they'll finish close to the top of the West.
I don't even think they're finishing first.
I think they'll finish second in the West. That's what my prediction was. I'll keep to that. But it's always LAFC. They can have a big transfer in the window and just change the whole
they
trajectory.
can buy championships as they do.
Exactly. So I'm like, I'm never gonna discount them for that one reason. All right. That was a great post game. Good to be back.
Thanks for jumping in with us.
We appreciate everybody in the comments. Follow, subscribe, follow us on Twitter, DNV_Rapids. Give us a thumbs up, please. We really appreciate that. Thumbs make me happy. Not your thumb, Duane. Put that thing down.
What about this one?
That's better.
All right.
I'm a righty. Left is from the devil.
All right.
People that write with their left hands go to the devil. Anything else, Duane?
Man, thanks for joining us. And again, shout out to everybody who came to the bar. It was crazy packed with Nuggets fans as their
Avs fans too.
Avs fans. And we found our corner at DNVR bar. We all joined up and just crowded around a couple tables. Man, we were singing, cheering on the Pids. It was really fun. So thanks for joining us here. It was really great to meet you all. It was fun.
Also, maybe going forward, we'll do once a month meet up here at the bar and we'll watch a game together. Keep your eyes out for that. But as always, how we always end it. Duane, do the honors.
It's up the pit.
We all silly like the mayor.